Welcome to Profit First Nation, the official podcast for entrepreneurs who are operating their businesses in the zone of permanent profitability. I'm Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, and now here's your Profit First Nation guide, Danielle Mulvey.
Welcome back to another episode of Profit First Nation, my entrepreneurial friends. Today is an episode ending in 9, which means that we are going to go all in on your people. Probably the biggest expense in terms of your operating expenses, your payroll. And so we want to make sure that we are maximizing the return on payroll that you get. So, our philosophy is that you should be getting a 3x return on payroll, which means that if you're paying someone $50,000 a year, they should be producing at a minimum $150,000 impact on your revenue. All right. That is how we stay profitable when it comes to scaling our business with employees. We never want to settle for less than a 5-star employee. And remember, a 5-star employee is specific for the role. So, like I always say, I could get hired as a bookkeeper tomorrow, but I'm not a 5-star bookkeeper. I'm a 2-star bookkeeper because I know enough to be dangerous, right? But it wouldn't be work that I enjoy. Nothing against my fellow bookkeepers out there who are profit first professionals or in the audience, but we all have a specific role. We have gifts, we have whys, we have specific talents, and we need to be operating in that sort of personal zone of genius. All right. So the interesting thing and the hard part about sifting through applications is the resume. So today we are going to walk through resume red flags. You may be desperate, but you never want to settle for less than a 5-star employee. And remember, it's a numbers game. 1 out of 7 applicants is a potential 5-star employee. 5-star employees represent the top 15% of available talent in the market. That means for every 7 applicants, you need to filter out 6. You need to not be tempted by 6 out of 7 applicants. And there's multiple ways to do that. We recommend putting an assessment in at the beginning of your quote hiring gauntlet, taking your candidates through the paces. And then the next step after candidates pass an assessment at the benchmark score for the assessment, then you're going to now finally look at the candidates. All right. We want to be as objective as possible, filtering out candidates by using assessments that score against a role or that help you identify certain things that you are specifically looking for in a candidate to be successful in that role. Then after that, that's when you're going to finally open up the application. So ideally, through the assessment process, you're sifting out 60, 70, 80% of the applicants out of the gate so that you're not tempted by them. That means don't look at their resumes, all right? But when you get to the stage of you've got a handful of candidates now who've passed the assessment and it's time to look at the resume, that's when we have to really kind of get serious and pay attention to that gut, look for those resume red flags. So, we're going to go through a lot. We've got some examples here. So remember, if you are on YouTube, we are on YouTube now. So there is video with these episodes, but we'll walk you through it. So whether you're listening in the car or checking it out on video, we've got you covered, my entrepreneurial friends. All right, resume red flag. So the first red flag is less than 1 year at multiple recent employers. So, that is a red flag. You want someone who is going to be in a position for more than a year. And so when people are job hopping and they're at a new job every year, and there's gaps between their employment, that is a big red flag. You want people that have long-term employment. So what is long-term in these days? I would say 2 years or more in the same company or the same position would, kind of put that person in the category of having some long-term. I mean, obviously, depending upon how old they are, they could have 5, 6, 7 years, but you want to see some long-term employment on a candidate's resume. Another resume red flag is exaggeration of duties and responsibilities. So, tragically, AI can be used for good and for bad. And, candidates are using AI to beef up their resumes and sound way more impressive. And stay tuned. Have I got a doozy for you to share later in the episode here? But, if it just seems like they're, talking just way out there in terms of just being way too fabulous and having way too much responsibility or impact based off their job title, then that's someone who's not necessarily being so honest on their resume. If their formal education is in an unrelated field from what you're looking to hire in, that is another resume red flag. Here's an example of an applicant that was a Bachelor of Arts major in government and an American Sign Language minor, yet they are trying to get a job as a bookkeeper. All right. There doesn't really seem to be much correlation. And then when you look at their experience, again, not really anything related to accounting or bookkeeping. Sadly, a lot of people think, anyone can be a bookkeeper, and that is tragically incorrect. So right there, this is a no bueno resume. The red flags on here also, too, are it looks like that they had double employment. So they worked as a legal assistant in the summer of 2021, but they were also a line operator from January 2021 to May 2022. So, were they double dipping? Is this a typo? This person looks like they were in school, but they didn't really stick with things very long. And then, you're also going to be looking for grammar and punctuation errors. There's no excuse for someone not having attention to detail. Small businesses, we, do a lot with a few people. So we need everyone's hands on deck, paying attention to things and crossing T's and dotting I's. And grammar and punctuation are necessary and important in any kind of job. And really, obviously, this was created on a computer. So there's applications and lots of tools, Grammarly, et cetera, for free that someone should be employing to make sure that their resumes have all of that T's crossed and I's dotted when it comes to grammar and punctuation. And then, I am going to say that there are probably specific industries or employers that you should avoid maybe on candidates in terms of when you're reviewing. And I would these are what I consider my red flags that I won't consider for any role. So I will not consider a professor or an adjunct college instructor for any role that I have. They don't seem to have a sense of urgency. They're great thinkers and they have a lot of time to think, and that's kind of the problem. I don't also bring on people who are formally self-employed. I mean, hello, let's be honest. We're all entrepreneurs here. And the thought of working for someone else would probably make your skin crawl right now. That's just not something that you want. And once I think you've been bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, you want to get back to that. And you never want to work for someone again. And so, my take on the formally self-employed is that they're always looking to get back into it. And you're just kind of a stepping stone for them to get back into the entrepreneurial pool. So I avoid people who were formerly self-employed. To be honest, I also avoid people who have been in ministry. Again, that is a position that, requires a lot of energy and intensity for not many hours a week. All right. So they're not used to the daily grind, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, or whatever your schedule entails. They're very important in this world, and probably if they enjoy ministry, should stay in that world. And then, any sort of positions where people have a lot of downtime, it's kind of like they're just babysitting a front desk or, just kind of waiting around for something to happen. That is someone that you probably should avoid in terms of a hire. So, it is in the details on the resume. So there are previous roles and industry experience that we love. So when looking at a when looking at a resume, they don't always have to be red flags, but here are some experiences and such that we like and why we like them. So we like people who have hospitality and food service experience. We like people who have had positions that are hard, grinding physical work. So, like someone who works in a grocery store, people who work in warehouses, landscapers, people who've worked in the trades, people who are movers. There's a company here called Meathead Movers, and they employ collegiate athletes to take on these jobs, which is perfect for a collegiate athlete because they're not committing to anything. It kind of works with their schedule. If they're free for one day for this job, then they can say, yeah, I'll work that day and such. But obviously very, very physical. So, and then we're also looking for someone who played team sports. So, or is kind of these things: hospitality, food service, hard grinding, physical work, warehouse, grocery store. I mean, I don't know about your grocery store, but there's a grocery store chain where I live called Stater Brothers. And I mean, if the checkouts are slow, I mean, then that checker is in the aisles, restocking shelves, doing things. Those people at Stater Brothers are always on the move. And I would hire any one of them in a heartbeat because they know how to stay busy and stay productive. And then the and/or team sports. So, what's good about these is that they demonstrate that they're accountable to someone else. They're performing, they're doing it. And if they stay with it, they're obviously good at it and like it. So that kind of tenure in terms of their experience is important as well, that we talked about previously. They're showing a sense of urgency. If you're working in a warehouse or you're doing something in public in the trades, I mean, the pressure's on. People are watching you. People are waiting for you to get it done. And so these jobs naturally show a sense of urgency, as well as in team sports. I mean, when it's game time, it's time to perform. Jobs where people are physically moving around. Again, all of these examples meet that criteria. And also, too, kind of wearing multiple hats and such. Even if you're the pitcher on the baseball team, you still are wearing multiple hats. You're a cheerleader for your team. You're doing other things for the team besides just showing up on the mound to pitch. And then obviously team oriented too. So hospitality and food service, team oriented, hard grinding, physical work, working in grocery stores, warehouses, the trades, et cetera. That does take teamwork as well, typically. And obviously team sports, well, that's where we get the teamwork there as well. All right. So here is a case study I'm going to walk you through. And so it's kind of tricky sometimes. Part-time employees are a great asset to a business because you are getting typically a lot of bang for your buck. It's hard for someone to be, honestly, if you're paying someone 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, are you really getting 40 hours of productivity? Probably not exactly. We've got strategies around how to make that possible. But, let's be honest. You're probably not, giving your own company 40 hard hours a week. But when you have a part-time person who's working for, 4 hours a day, 3 hours a day, I mean, they can bang it out because that is kind of the sweet spot of, how much someone can really just work hard and focus in a period of time. It's not 8 hours. It's about 3 to 4 hours. So part-time employees do give you a lot of bang for your buck, but you have to be very, very careful with them when you bring them on. So in the example that you're seeing on the screen that I'm going to talk you through right now, we have another candidate. And, again, kind of the same resume red flags. They, were a controller at a company from June 2022 to August 2022. I mean, was that even 2 months, maybe? Then they were a staff accountant from December 21 to May 2022. So now we're talking like maybe 5 months. They worked at QuickBooks from October 21 to December 2021. I mean, this is just kind of laughable, sadly. There are gaps in their employment as well. And so this is a person who just, oh my gosh, like burn this resume as soon as you see it. So no longevity. What's interesting about this is that, she shared in the deep dive interview that, when it was questioned about her inconsistencies and such, that she was working multiple jobs at the same time. So this came through actually from someone that I was talking to about, what they were struggling with and stuff. So I said, okay, well, like, give me an example. Who was the last person that you hired? And so we went through this process live, had the resume in their files and such. And then, the candidate was also saying, that they were looking for a good fit. That's why they didn't work. These jobs didn't work out. They weren't a good fit. They were all relatively in the same industry. So it's a case of, it's not me, it's not been me, it's them. And, this person is not, if it's not been a good fit for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 employers, between 2021 and 2023, 7 employers between 2021 and 2023, they're not going to be a good fit for you either, clearly. So, it's very hard. We want to trust the candidates. We want to believe what they say. But you got to go with your gut. You got to have to be as objective as possible. You've got to, see these resume red flags and go, no way, no, thank you, and move on and never settle. The candidate also used the excuse that, oh, this is normal in this industry. It's like, no, this is not normal in this industry. I don't know of any industry where a 5-star employee is not going to be a, person that demonstrates some longevity and tenure in the position. All right. So yes, maybe, some industries have a lot of churn because they're just taking warm bodies and such, but there are 5-star people working in every industry who can stick with a job. And those are the people that you need to attract. And those are the people that you need to hire. And everyone else you need to filter out and say, no, thank you, and never settle. And, the interesting thing about this is this person applied for a part-time job, but then quit for full-time work. So, I don't know what to say except that this candidate was a hot mess. And, when I reviewed this, there was a lot of ahas with the owner here in terms of how to make things better going forward. So there's some lessons learned there and some more lessons learned. When it comes to a part-time employee, here's an example. To be honest, I hired a podcast blog editor last year, and, said, hey, I need you to do some daily check-ins with us. The whole team checks in. They were not showing up to that. They were MIA. They were not completing tasks. And then they quit in June of 2022. So, my lessons learned, because that was the first time that I had employed someone, on a really part-time basis. I mean, this person was really kind of working, was scheduled to be working 12 hours a week. But, the way to get around this and some best strategies for part-time employment is you need to make them a priority. All right. So even though they're working a little bit, they get even less time with you. They get less time with the team. So you almost have to prioritize and make them the priority for their engagement to stay genuine and productive. You need to have daily accountability with them for every day that they work. So if they're working 3 days a week, you need to have daily accountability on those 3 days. So whenever they're scheduled to work, they have to have some sort of check-in, some sort of schedule. We've talked about this too before, that a lot of people are kind of double dipping on jobs right now. And then they just, once they start getting caught about things, they tend to disappear and kind of, I guess, quit the job or abandon the job. But you've got to find ways to have that accountability for every day that they work. You need to make sure that you're setting hard deadlines in terms of their production, what they're doing, what their deliverables are, and you have to stick with it. And you can't let them get away with it once. You got to be hard at the beginning. I mean, let's be honest, having employees is kind of like having adult children. Your 8-year-old is on your payroll, and your 40-year-old copywriter is on your payroll as well. And so you've got to stay on them. You've got to hold them accountable, set deadlines, make sure things are happening. Maybe consider pay for performance or bonus, or having some sort of incentive for them to stay engaged and to enjoy the job, and really, get a lot out of it. And then, again, that engagement, you need to have support. So how do I say this? You want to be engaging with a part-time employee on their other part-time priorities. Okay. So someone is working part-time because there's another part-time something in their life that's important. So maybe it's a mom whose kids go to school, and so the mom works when the kids are at school. So what you need to do is you need to, encourage and support them and engage them on the other thing that's important in their life. Maybe, again, a little bit more than you do with your full-time employees, because you're getting that less face time. So it's almost like you have to give the same amount of engagement that you give a full-time employee to a part-time employee. So you're not giving half the engagement, you're giving the full-time engagement to a part-time employee. All right. And then you're being supportive about what they're doing outside, because that is probably a little bit more of their why than what their current job is with you. All right. So here is kind of a crazy case study of a resume that is definitely overstating and exaggerating their responsibilities. This is from a stay-at-home mom, and she was a stay-at-home mom according to her resume from November 2016 to December of 2021. And, let's just walk through here. Balancing priorities to create and implement budget, motivate, coach, and counsel children, work with teachers to closely monitor academics performance of children, plan, organize, and supervise extracurricular activities, mediate disputes and facilitate resolutions, negotiate with suppliers, pay invoices, and reconcile accounts, coordinate medical care for all family members, drive children to extracurricular activities, shop, plan, create, and serve nutritious meals. I mean, oh my gosh, this is insane. This is beyond ridiculous. And, this is a radical example, because half of us are probably, moms or dads out there. And, this is just what every parent does. There's nothing exceptional here, but trying to make it more special than it is. I would also say that this is a bit of a red flag that they thought that their value, to be honest, as a stay-at-home parent, maybe I'm getting in trouble here now, was so critical, and obviously not everyone can afford to do that and such. So, this resume doesn't impress me much, and there is no way I would touch this candidate with a 10-foot pole. So, anyways, that is kind of a wrap on what we're talking about here, and that is the resume red flags. You want to filter out candidates. You want to, not get wooed, not get fooled. You really want to dive in. You're going to review red flags. So I would say that probably when I get to the point that I'm reviewing resumes, about 40 to 60% of the resumes that I review are getting filtered out. So I'm finding 1, 2, or more red flags in resumes, and then I'm not moving forward with the candidate. So we've filtered out people through the assessment. Then I have a batch of candidates, and then I'm going to filter them out through the resume red flags so that I am not tempted and I'm never settling for less than a 5-star employee. If you would like more information, if you want to download our resources, connect with us, send in a question, connect with one of my Profit First professional accountants, bookkeepers, or coaches, then please go to profitfirstnation.com and click on contact to connect with us. And cheers to another profitable day, my entrepreneurial friends.
Thanks for tuning in to the Profit First Nation podcast. We hope you found today's episode valuable and that it's inspired you to take action towards achieving permanent profitability in your business. If you want to learn more about how to implement Profit First in your business and connect with a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, be sure to visit us at profitfirstnation.com to download our how-to guides and resources. Remember, permanent profitability is within your reach, and we're here to support you every step of the way. So let's do Profit First right together.
Profit First Nation website, related podcasts, and videos are provided for general information purposes only and do not constitute accounting, legal, tax, or other professional advice. Visitors should not act upon the content or information found here without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional.